I hereby call the Brockton School Committee to order, it being 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. We are back at the George M. Romm Little Theater here at Brockton High School, 470 Forest Ave, Brockton, Mass. 02301. I do need to read the following into the record. Dear visitors, welcome to the meeting of the Brockton School Committee. This is the agenda that will be discussed this evening. Please note the hearing of visitors is included. We have had 6 people sign in. If you have a statement or question, please give your name to the secretary. Mrs. Kimball has given it to me. And then the following. In addition to attending, the public can view this meeting via television on Comcast Channel 8 and also on the 1071 HD version and online via the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. At this time, I will establish a quorum before we salute the American flag. Mrs. Sullivan? Yeah. Ms. Oliver?
Here.
Vice Chair?
Here.
Ms. Azak?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
I'm here as well. We have established a quorum. I'd ask you to please stand and salute the American flag at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We also are joined by Dr. Cobbs, who serves also as clerk of the school committee. At this time, we've achieved agenda number 1. We'll go on to agenda 2, hearing of visitors. I will read this, although we have respectfully as a committee waived this, but it's pursuant to school committee policy. Each person requesting to speak shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes, which is a countdown. Since this period is limited to 15 minutes, a total of 5 people should be permitted to speak on a first-come, first-served basis. We have 6 people tonight. If there's no objections, we will allow all 6 people to speak for a total of 18 minutes. First person is Michelle Henson, please. Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. On behalf of the Student Equity Council from the West Middle School, Angel Cosme has asked me to read two statements. And the first one is, Dear School Committee members, the DEI has given BPS many clubs to make students be heard and included. Taking it away is also taking away a lot for students. Student equity councils help students and schools improve. By solving problems, schools become safer and better, and the students can sometimes change for the better. Taking this away from us gives BHS and BPS a bad look, instead of preventing the hate and unsafeness we've been getting. If you're going to take SECs away, might as well take away students' freedom too. If you're going to take any way away from us, at least take it away from the schools that don't need it as much. A West Middle School Equity Council member. Dear School Committee, please don't disband the EDI office. I know many kids who do not want to go to Brockton High because of all the tales going around and knowing that they will be going to high school with some bullies from middle school. The EDI office helps prevent bullying and discrimination. When I go to other towns and cities for shopping, and I notice that I get stares because of my skin, when I am in Brockton, I don't feel bad. I am proud to be from Brockton because of its diversity. This wouldn't be as diverse without the EDI helping kids feel like they are not alien. That's from the students. Now from me. I remember when this office was coming into being, and I remember some of you who were definitely not wanting it, and you made it perfectly clear that as soon as you got the opportunity to try to make it go away, that you would. I don't know if this is a school committee decision, but I remember school committee discussions, and I remember comments from some of you. Time for that more dragon phone calls. Thank you.
Next individual that's signed in, Marcos Gomes, please.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. I'm Marcos Gomes, and I'm here today to talk to you guys on behalf of and about the EDI program and department at the Brockton Public Schools and District. I would like to first thank my fellow student ambassadors, which is a program that was created by the EDI department. So I would like to first thank my fellow student ambassadors. I also would like to thank Darnell Williams, Camelia Jackson, and Renee Haywood. I would like to do that because without the EDI program, I don't feel like I would have been able to come up here and speak in front of all you guys. I don't feel like I would have felt comfortable. I don't feel like I would have had the voice to face you guys and speak without their mentorship. So I would like to thank them. This district is shutting down the EDI department and limiting it to only one person position. They say this is because of funding reasons, which many positions have gotten cut down in the past few years, and this year it's clearly still ongoing because of funding. So I feel like we definitely need to find some stuff with the funding, and we need to find a way to better fund our departments, because the EDI department is critical to our community, considering we are one of the most diverse communities there are in Boston, in Massachusetts area. Every student that comes here should feel like they have the equal opportunity as success, and they should feel included every day they walk into the school. I come to this school right now, I'm a senior at this school, and I can tell you a lot of people do not feel included, and every day they come here, I can hear it in the hallways, people saying how they don't want to come here and they don't feel included, and I feel like this program, the EDI program, has really changed that. And the fact that you guys are limiting it down to one person position and shutting down the ambassador program, which has brought out student voices like that of myself. We've done stuff in this exact room before. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that student voice, I feel like, has brought upon many things, because my own peers have come up to me and was like, Marcos, can you go up and talk about this for us, so like that other people can hear our voices. And this voice has gone around the entire community, the entire district, the student voice. And I feel like by you guys limiting it to one role, you guys are taking away the student voice that is really needed for you guys to know what you really need to change in the school. Because without the students, you guys don't know what you need to change in the school. I feel like it's with the students that you guys will know what you need to change in the school. That is all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Amelia Vieira, please. Amelia Vieira.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Amelia Vieira. I am a proud Cape Verdean American student athlete here at Brockton High School. Today, I stand before you as a student ambassador and representative of our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion program. A program whose significance cannot be overemphasized at all or overstated in any circumstance, especially in a district consisting of predominantly minority students. In our schools, where diversity is the norm and not just the exception, the need for equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives is critical. These programs serve as hope for students who seek a sense of belonging and acceptance. Programs like these work to foster a culture of respect and understanding, ensuring that every student feels valued regardless of their background or identity. The recent cuts to positions with our EDI program are and should be deeply troubling. Not only do they jeopardize the livelihoods of those in these positions, but they also undermine the sense of support that our students and staff rely on. Without dedicated leaders, the effectiveness of all of our work and dedication that we put into this program is compromised, thus leaving many feeling voiceless. For many of my peers and for myself, the EDI program has been nothing short of life-changing. It provided us with a platform to share our experiences and our voices and affect change within our school community. Through workshops, discussions, and advocacy efforts, we discovered a sense of purpose that previously eluded us. The EDI program empowered us to challenge injustice and emphasize inclusivity. It successfully prepared us with skills and confidence to advocate for change, both within and beyond our schools. However, without dedicated leaders to guide us, many of us feel as though our voices are being silenced once again. As we look at the future of our district, I urge the committee to consider the valuable role that our EDI program plays in the lives of students like myself. It is more than just an item in a budget. It is a solace for those of us who have long been silenced. Let us not move back in time. Let us not move back in time and break the promises of being a more inclusive and equitable future for the students and staff of now and for the students and staff of the future. Thank you for your undivided attention. It's deeply appreciated.
Leah Howard, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Journey and I'm 9 years old. I'm in 3rd grade and I go to BVLA. I'm feeling really sad because I heard that my school will close but my brothers get to stay and I don't understand why. At BVLA our teachers are super great. They help us learn so much and my friends and we all work really hard. My mom always tells me the only way to get what you want is if you work hard. So I'm confused because we work hard and we love our school. So why would you want to take it away? At BVLA, I feel like I can be myself even when my anxiety will come out. I know I'm in a safe space and it's easier to calm myself down. My mom said that it's up to you important people to help us stay in our school. So I'm here to ask you, please don't clone down our school. We really need it. And it's where we learn, grow, and feel safe. Thank you for listening to me.
Candace Howard, please. Candace Howard.
That was my beautiful daughter. Good evening, school committee members and Dr. Cobbs. I come before you today to address the decision regarding the closing of our virtual elementary school. I must express my concern that this decision appears to be a quick fix rather than a permanent solution to the challenges that our district is facing. While other districts are progressing and embracing the virtual realm, it seems that Brockton is regressing. It's important to recognize that operating a virtual school is more cost-effective than maintaining a brick-and-mortar institution. Yes, our enrollment numbers were low, but they weren't low for lack of interest. They were low because enrollment was stopped. Every child deserves the opportunity to thrive in the learning environment whether that may be virtual or in person. It is essential that we listen to the voices of the community and provide them with choices. We cannot ignore the importance of adapting to the future of technology and education. I urge you to reconsider the closure of our virtual elementary school. It's evident that keeping the virtual elementary option open will not break the bank. Remember, our district's strength lies in the leadership and decision made by those who represent us. Lastly, I reach out to Dr. Cobbs, we the parents of BVLA, and the district would like to extend an invitation for you to meet with our school side council so you can know what BVLA needs. Thank you.
Lisa Bond, please. Lisa Bond.
Hello, my name is Lisa Bond. I currently have 3 children enrolled in BVLA. I have my 10-year-old son, Fred Bond, my 8-year-old daughter, Lisa Bond, and my 16-year-old that is not here right now. So last year I spoke and told you guys how much this school means to me as a parent. My son has known nothing but this school. He's grown up in this school and he feels safe. He almost lost his life to a dog attack when he was 5 years old. And this school has really been a saving grace for him. It has helped him thrive when he wasn't thriving in regular school. And I asked him, what would it mean to you? What does Brockton Virtual Learning Academy mean to you? And he told me today, it means everything, Mom. And it does. And when I got the call a couple weeks ago that they were closing, I didn't know what to do. I didn't want my son's mental health to go. I didn't want my daughter to be scared to go back to school. This is all they know. They're excited to go to school in the morning. They're excited to learn. And I'm very afraid if this school gets taken away from them, what's going to happen in my children's lives. They need it really, really bad. It's helped tremendously, and I don't know why it was given just to be taken away. I grew up in Brockton, and I never had a fear of my school closing. And the thought of this has really hurt both of my children, especially because they're 16-year-old that gets to stay in the school while they don't. And like she said, they don't understand why the older kids can stay and they can't. The teachers are awesome. I feel like they're learning way more than they would in regular school with these computers and how to navigate stuff. They know stuff that I could never imagine knowing. And I please urge you to reconsider your decision because it means a lot to the parents that have children in this school, and it means a lot to the children in the school as well. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good night.
That concludes agenda item 2. I want to thank all the hearing and visitors for sharing their thoughts and insights tonight. We will go on to agenda 3, which is report of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jim Cobbs, at this time. Doctor.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, school committee members. Next order of business is I'd like to recognize the following donations. Brockton High School alumnus class of 1986, Mr. Christopher Carney, for a donation to renovate and update 4 faculty lounges at Brockton High School. 4 All Green Management donation of solar eclipse viewing glasses for the upcoming solar eclipse, which was yesterday, actually. And a recommendation that we accept the donations and the funding source.
So will the committee at this time relative to those 2 donations?
Right. That's correct.
Motion to accept the 2 donations as stated, the acceptance of donations to Brockton High School for the faculty lounges in the amount of $10,000, and then the acceptance of donations to the Brockton High School for the solar eclipse glasses.
Form of a motion. Is there a second on that motion, please? Second. Motion was made by Ms. Azak, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hands. It passes, and we thank the generous donations. Thank you.
So the teaching and learning student representative is not here today, Mr. Anthony Vega. He's, I understand, playing in a baseball game today, so we wish him luck. The next item agenda is the approval of the 2024-2025 BPS academic school calendar. First reading was on 3/19/24.
Members of the committee, any comments or thoughts relative to the proposed calendar? Mr. Sullivan, please.
Motion to accept as printed.
Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan to accept. Mr. Sullivan, did you second that?
Yes.
So motion, is there anything on the motion before we take a vote? Ms. Azak on the motion?
Sorry, just looking quickly, as long as the election days are in here?
They are.
They are? Okay.
September
'cause that's a
3rd and
no
November
school day.
5th. There'll be professional days for the staff.
Okay.
If you go
As long
right
as that's in there.
to tab 2, the first page.
For September more, it's a September one.
Right,
Perfect. Yeah, I'm
right.
looking at tab 2, but
Hmm.
my eyesight's going. I'm
Okay.
getting a little old.
Yeah, just the first page, it has a
Okay.
description of the dates for the elections.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we do have a motion on the floor. It was properly seconded. All in favor of accepting the calendar, please raise your hand. If you oppose, please raise your hand. It does pass.
The next item on the agenda is the update from Open Architects Consultant TJ Plant regarding the budget.
I know he's zooming in tonight.
He's zooming in.
There he is.
Thanks, Dr. Cobbs. Thanks, Mr. Chair. I know it's been a little while since I've been before the school committee, but I know it's time for kind of an update on where the school department is heading for fiscal 24 and fiscal 25. A lot of work has been done behind the scenes to start to address the 24 issues that have been identified and also to start building fiscal 25's budget. So I think it might make sense, Dr. Cobbs, if I kind of go into the net school spending appropriation and the changes that have happened since the last presentation. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
So let me share my screen and we can go through. So we spent a lot of time going through the net school spending calculation using the governor's number as it exists now. We know House Ways and Means is coming out tomorrow, so that is subject to potentially change. But there's been a lot of push for BPS, Open Architects, and Trish and her team to start trying to address areas of the appropriation to the school department that can be enhanced for the benefit of the students. And so I'll walk through this as something that you've seen before, but the numbers have changed. You may recall in a previous meeting, there was talk about the number going slightly down. We have now updated the fiscal 24 budget modeling tool, fiscal 24 actuals, and then we have the calculation for fiscal 25. And I'll walk through that and then open it up for questions, and then we can get into some of the other stuff for fiscal 24. So as of now, the foundation budget for Brockton is $314.6 million. The required district contribution, as it's calculated by DESE, is $58.4 million towards education. And then after that's factored in, they backfill the rest of Chapter 78, which is the $256.2 million, for a total of $314.6. So that's our starting point as net school spending. That is what's required to meet DESE's level of commitment to the school department at the baseline known as net school spending. So you'll see here on line 12, the 314,644 is the starting point. You reduce the charter tuition assessment. That is for all the students that have elected to go to a charter school, that the assessment's hitting the school department for that. You reduce school choice for the students that elect to go to other school districts, and money is paid to the districts that are receiving the students. There's a small special ed assessment, and then we'll get into the Schedule 19 in a minute, but the Schedule 19 is really, that's city services in support of schools or municipal related costs. And we spent a fair amount of time digging into the numbers, and about a week and a half ago, we got the actual calculations for fiscal 22 to really dig in to understand what those numbers look like. And so there's going to be some good news on the Schedule 19 numbers that are going to benefit the school department at the behest of the city in terms of what it's going to cost the city in the long run. But we want to make sure this number is as honest and open and defendable as possible to DESE and the NDA report and all that. But I'll get into the Schedule 19 in a few minutes. So then we have maintenance of $350,000. Dr. Cobbs and I are still questioning whether or not this is a cost that should be borne in the calculation, because a lot of the maintenance is already provided by BPS employees and maybe not necessarily city employees, so we're still digging into line 19. That's still a little work in progress. Employee pension, the city pays pension for non-teacher retirees on behalf of BPS, and that is an estimate we're still refining, but we were told by Troy and his advisors that a 5% increase is sufficient for pension contributions, and so we're double checking that. A lot of fluctuation has happened in line 21 and line 22, or excuse me, line 21 and line 23. And that is insurance. So the city pays the insurance on behalf of all employees on the school side. And that number has fluctuated significantly in recent weeks because we're getting better and better numbers from Cooking Company and from Troy and his team. So this number was up to like 36 or 38 million. It's down to 35. The retiree health insurance is down to 8.2. That, so we actually feel pretty good that the numbers as they exist for the health insurance are pretty accurate. So you deduct all that from your 314, and that gives you a subtotal of 217. Then you add in, this is new, 6.6 million of charter tuition reimbursement aid. If you're getting the assessment up here, the $31 million, it's only right for the school department to get the revenue related to charter tuition reimbursement. So that 6.6 comes directly from the cherry sheet, and that's reimbursement that belongs to the school department as part of their revenue. Then you add in adult education at 287. That's our best number as of now, but that's subject to change based upon information we get as we develop fiscal 25. And then transportation, this number is 23.3 million. And that is the number that's being carried by the city in their balance sheet, subject to change based upon a variety of costs associated with transportation. More specifically, we're trying to pull out the health insurance for the drivers because that, we believe, is going to be an expense on the city side because that is related to transportation. So we're trying to get the data to do the analysis that is necessary to show what that costs. And we believe it's north of $1 million. So the overall appropriation for the school department as it exists today is 247.9, subject to fluctuate a bit in the coming days and weeks. That's a net school spending number of 224.3 and a non-net school spending number of 23.6. I'll stop there before I dive into Schedule 19 if there's any questions on how that calculation is made.
Members of the committee, any questions at this time for Mr. Plant relative to what he just conveyed to us? Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I'd like to thank Mr. Plant and Dr. Cobbs for their hard work on this. I don't really have any questions on it, but so I guess I do, because the net school spending, so right now for FY25 is presently what you're showing there? 224?
Yes.
Okay. And then the non-net?
That may change, again, based on
Right.
just the health insurance and the Schedule 19
Yeah.
being resolved.
So we're working on these two figures, 33 and 34.
Correct.
We're still working.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for all your hard work on this.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Well-
Any other questions? Mr. Sullivan, please.
Hello, Mr. Plant, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is there a deficit in fiscal year 24 or 25?
So yes, there is a deficit in fiscal 24 that I'll get to in a minute on how it's going to be addressed on the BPS side and what that means in terms of what actions have been taken by Dr. Cobbs' cabinet and OA and Trish to kind of start to address that, and I'll get into that in a few minutes.
What about fiscal year 25?
Fiscal 25 is projecting a deficit, but that number is a moving target at this point because, for example, when I get to the Schedule 19 number, what you're going to see is you already see a $6.6 million swing to the good for BPS related to the charter tuition reimbursement. But I also believe there's at least $2 million in Schedule 19, if not more, as we scrutinize the calculations that were used to build Schedule 19 in previous years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Any other questions at this time? Mr. Plant, you can continue, please. Thank you.
Judy?
Oh, I'm sorry. Follow up, Mrs. Sullivan.
So on the adult education, if you could just move up the screen a little more, it just said.
go.
Adult education, if we could just move the screen up one more time.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I moved up to Schedule 19, but adult education.
Okay, adult education, it says 287 million, right?
Thousand.
Okay, 558. So is that what Brockton Public puts towards it, Dr.
That's
Combs?
correct.
Okay, because I
We
know
pay
they,
teachers' salaries and we pay some of the expenses, yes.
okay, so they also get grants for
But they
that
do, they
too?
do get grants as well,
Okay, but our cost is this.
right?
Okay, thank you.
And this cost is actually needs to be appropriated by the city because it's outside net school spending requirements. So it is budgeted in the school department. They're paying the employees to provide adult education. But there's also fees associated with and grants associated with adult education that's out there. So this number is general fund only and may look artificially low based upon what Brockton may actually spend on adult education.
Any other questions at this time? TJ, Mr. Platt, you can continue, please.
Yep. So the big question, and it really has come to the 6.2 and change. We have really dug into the numbers and got to the level of confidence that there are a number of areas where the school department should not be being charged, and I'll give you a couple of examples. We went through all the administrative fees and charges, and there's an administrative fee for 1.7 million to administer the pension on behalf of the school department, non-teacher retirees. And that number, I do not believe is net school spending eligible and should be reduced from this overall appropriation. Then we're also reconciling the dental benefits as to make sure that all the employees that have dental benefits are paying, that they pay, that they're not paying, the school department's not paying more than what is required of the dental benefits. We know that, we think that's gonna be a couple $100,000 or more. So there's a few areas between all the different fees and charges that have been built into this number that we don't believe is eligible to be part of net school spending.
Ms.
So-
Oliver, please.
In the grand scheme of things, right now, since the last time we met, there's been roughly just over an $8 million swing. We haven't reflected the net school Schedule 19 yet. That will be reflected soon once we've kind of honed in on the numbers, figure out what the maintenance number looks like, figure out a few more of the areas of the figures that we need to kind of make sure we're all on the same page on.
TJ, Ms. Oliver has a question, please.
Thank you, TJ. I know that we were never going to get this information on Schedule 19 if Mr. Gomes wasn't repeatedly asking for this information. But so far, you said you only got 2022 information, right? So we don't have 23, we don't have 24 information on Schedule 19, right?
Correct. So our best thinking about that is that this was just prior year numbers with an escalator clause built in. So it wasn't. I don't believe it was kind of done year in, year out as building it up fresh every year. And so I think it just kind of was one of those 22 is the best numbers we have. And then you can kind of trace the escalator numbers that may have been built in just to kind of cover the Schedule 19 number.
Are they getting you the rest of those other years' information?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Are they going to get you information for 2023 and 2024?
We're asking. It took almost 6 months to get the 22 numbers to really dig into the numbers. So I don't know how to answer that question to know if it even exists in a meaningful way. So Schedule 19 is supposed to be negotiated between the school department and the city and agreed upon by both parties for services provided to the schools from the city. And my understanding, it never truly was negotiated between the two parties. It was just kind of given as a way to, whether it was in the schools of the city or the city to the schools. I don't know if it was ever truly, I don't know if audit is the right word, but reviewed anyway. Because it just, I mean, when you dug into the numbers, it just raised a lot of questions. Even the health insurance numbers raised a lot of questions that we clarified and got more information from Cook and Company.
So moving forward, if they're giving us a hard time to basically get those information for 24 and 25, how do we basically stop them from giving us a blank invoice and not letting us, just like, we're not paying anymore unless we know exactly why we're giving you money? I'm not paying you, just give me an invoice and I don't know exactly what I'm paying for. Like, how do we go about, I know it's the city, but we need to basically, I'm not giving you a check for anything. Like, you need to let us know there's $6 million there that we're giving, but we don't know what we're paying.
Correct. So this number, so there are two ways to do a Schedule 19 calculation or agreement for that. There is the administrative cost approach, which is DESI gives you a per pupil allocation number, and you multiply that by the number of students, and that is your Schedule 19 quote unquote figure. That is not what Brockton has been doing. And then when you do that approach, you then enter into agreements for services that Brockton Public Schools are looking for the city to provide. And, you know, and that's kind of the cleanest, easiest way to do it, where everyone kind of agrees, they nod, and they sign contracts and MOAs. What most districts do is similar to this, is they just kind of come up with a methodology and they all kind of nod and say, yeah, we agree. The numbers make sense, and that's how it works. And I can't comment on the level of debate or discussion that this has had in recent years. But I just know the numbers we saw, there were just some numbers that just seemed a little off and a little funky that had us raise it to Dr. Cobbs and his team to ask about it. And I know his cabinet has been very vocal about Schedule 19 to me and to Trish. So we knew we had to really get into it and understand what exactly, what exactly VPS was paying for.
Thank you. If you can continue working to get the rest of 23 and 24 would be awesome. I appreciate it.
Any other questions at this time for Mr. Plant? You can continue, TJ. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to fiscal 24, just to kind of give an update to the committee on where we are to there we go. Sorry. Nope, that's not it. Stop share. So, let me actually share a different one that's a little cleaner. Sorry. I have so many spreadsheets open right now that it's... I guess I can use this one. Give me 1 second. I gotta find the right one. I just had it. I must have closed it out. Give me 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me just find it now. Okay, so this isn't necessarily new to the committee, but if you so we developed this summary of how to get the budget to balance. There's about a $25 million budget gap. This was our original estimates that we saw, 15 million, and it grew by some of these other costs that BPS needed to invest in. But ultimately, it's a $25 million problem that we're working off of, and there's a variety of budget balancing stuff that actions that Dr. Cobbs and his team have taken, and so this is kind of where we're at with a bunch of it. So hold on, there we go. So these are the ads that we added to, and we know number isn't exactly right. Well, that's not right, it's accurate, but it may not be able to be But these are all the adds that we added to the deficit to ultimately get it up to the $25 million budget deficit. And then, I'm not going to go through all this detail, but essentially there's $10 million that Dr. Cobbs and his team have frozen as of right now to start addressing the fiscal 24 deficit, things that, were April 9th and is it really needed between now and June 30th? And if it is, so this is just a running tally and a running list of just areas that could be flagged that have been kind of put on hold. And then we have school choice revolving account. We have the circuit breaker that Trish and her team are going to start moving special ed transportation and special ed out of district placement. ESSER, we're in the process of filing an amendment to address some of the cost overruns of the deficit through using ESSER. And then IDA for us to be able to balance for fiscal 24. So with everything that has been identified, there's roughly 20 plus million to deal with the deficit for fiscal 25. Fiscal 24, I apologize. There's roughly 20 plus million for us to be able to deal with it, and we're working on it with Trish. And there's another look at it. So you got all these revenue adds for 20.5 million. This has already been spent on McKinney-Vento transportation costs. That just kind of evaporated based upon the just the cost of transporting our homeless children to and from school. And then we got school choice revolving we're going to use to start to address some of the deficit. Small circuit breaker numbers that we have. ESSER, we talked about the 5.1 million. Some grant accounting indirect costs, that's another funding source potentially. And then IDEA just finally got approved because the maintenance of effort was addressed. So the teams are actively pursuing these to close out fiscal 24 without a deficit. There is a good chance we're going to be okay, but this is one-time solutions, not permanent solutions as it relates to fiscal 25. So all the stuff that has been frozen and or put on hold or punted is being punted to fiscal 25 for consideration during fiscal 25 budget development. But the only general concern as we kind of get into all this is making sure that we don't have any more surprises as it relates to these expenses that are causing some of the problems. And there's going to be some funding that is going to be non-net that cannot be absorbed just given the sheer size of the school transportation deficit, that there's still going to be millions of dollars that are going to have to be addressed by the city side to cover the transportation, the explosion of transportation costs this past year. So we're on parallel tracks with fiscal 24 and 25, and we're all working to address all these issues as it relates to closing the gap. And I'll open it up for questions.
Questions at this time?
Not really a question.
Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. TJ, can we just get a copy of the presentation that you're showing us tonight?
Yeah, sure.
Can we get that? If we can have that in this Friday's packet, if possible?
Yeah, no, I'll send along the net school spending calculation as it exists today. I'm hoping it gets better tomorrow with House Ways and Means. And I'll send that version along once we get House Ways and Means released tomorrow, just to keep the committee in the loop. And then I'll send along kind of the budget balancing stuff for fiscal 24.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Sullivan, please.
My question is, Mr. Plant, this is Judy Sullivan talking. how do you feel, do you feel that we've made a lot of headway on, trying to fix this budget problem? Thank you.
That is a great question. I actually had a conversation with Dr. Cobbs in his cabinet, basically trying to, and I think it's good to remind folks that a lot of work has gone in the last 6 months to try to really hone in on some of the issues for Brockton Public Schools, hone in on the cost overruns and the cost, just the explosion of costs in different areas. So much work has been done. The team has been phenomenal to try to pull this all together. I mean, everyone's pulling double duty to try to figure out how to get out of this the best way possible, that least impactful to the classroom and to the kids. And this is just, the amount of work that's being done behind the scenes. It's not noticed. I mean, I'll actually stop this here and I'll give you an example. And this is something that Trish and her team have done. And I don't want Trish, you can talk about it, but I don't want to steal your thunder. But so we had 44 grants that needed to be closed out. And Trish, you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
You can bring it up. That's fine.
All right, I'll bring it up. You talk, or how do you want to do it?
I don't mind talking.
All right. So, because I think this is indicative to the work that's being done.
Right.
To talk about the grant work you've done and what Sean, your new employee, has done in less than a week.
Right.
So, I think this is just, you may not like the results because it's sending money back to the state, but you just need to understand that this is a cleanup beyond cleanups that is happening behind the scenes every day.
Right. So I apologize for being off camera. I've been battling a head cold, and I'm on day 3, and it's not giving me any relief. So I'm staying off camera if you don't mind. But anyway, we hired a new accountant last week. He had worked for the district before, so he had a lot of experience. We brought him back into the district, and he's been really hitting the ground running. And we had identified roughly 40 grants that were open in DESI's accounting system. However, the time period for the grant had ended, and some of those grants had remaining balances. Once a grant ends, you cannot spend beyond that date. So we've had no choice but to close out some of these grants and return the funds to DESI. So this was the first batch of 15 that we identified. You can see the fiscal years in column A, so they're mostly 22s and 23s. The DESI code, the munis code, the grant name, the ending dates. And like I said, you cannot spend beyond the date of when a grant ends because it will be disallowed and you'd have to return that money to DESI anyway. So Sean went into the DESI accounting system, closed out 15 of the roughly 40 that are still open. And in column F, these are the funds that he had to return to DESI. Column G was the original amount of the grant award. So you can see out of the grant awards that totaled $966,000, we're returning about $255,000 that had it been spent appropriately would have benefited the district, the school department by far. We're working on the next batch of roughly 15, and then we'll have the final list of grants. So we're plugging away at getting the grants closed.
Vice Chair, please, followed by Ms. Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. Trish, I know we spoke earlier, but do we have the ability to ask DESI, trying to stay up, DESI to extend the grant periods to spend these funds, even though the time's expired?
Right. So we did ask DESI, and it was a big no. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because DESI is just the conduit by which we receive our funds. DESI gets the funds from either federal programs or the state budget. And so those are the two entities that determine how long a grant can run. DESE just funnels the money from the federal and the state budgets and gets it into their accounting system, which ultimately gets it into our accounting system. So DESE does not have the authority to change any dates on these. They never have. I've never seen them do that in 30 years. So yeah, that would never happen, unfortunately. But we did ask, of course.
I know there's 15, but are we still working? I know we're still working, but have we identified, or is there any other grants that we're looking at that we haven't spent, that we have to return? And you know, what type of penalties did that leave for the district, with any other grants that are, you know, left open that the district hasn't spent yet?
Oh yes, there will be more. Out of the 40 grants that were open, probably all of them have money to be returned. Some might be a few dollars, and some are up in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Can you?
So like I said, we're working on the next batch, probably
I-
within a few days to get that processed.
I understand. Can you give an example of how, like, how does this happen where we approve these grants and these grants don't get spent in the areas that it's meant for?
Right. So when grants come into the system, we normally have a grant administrator on board, and we had one on board, and she resigned in December. I don't think she was in the position very long, but one of her his or her roles would be to make sure that these grants are spent on a regular basis. So I think the breakdown between the grant administrators, maybe lack of experience, and some of the grant managers themselves not realizing how critical the spending dates are. So I think it's just a combination of people not paying attention to detail on these types of things. So we have the grant administrator, and then we have grant managers. The grant managers each monitor their own grants. Some grant managers have 3 or 4 or 5 grants. Some may only have 1. So it's between those levels of staffing that really needs to watch this.
I mean, I'm just trying to grapple with this once I seen that report earlier, specifically the last 91K, to bring diversity into our staffing here in the district, how we're sending back $91,000. I'm just trying to, I said it earlier to a couple of members, it's like I want to find out who's the person that's responsible for this. It's like you want to yell at this person, like, how do you let this money just go astray? Specifically what we're dealing with right now. I just think that there needs to be an education forum for the school committee on how these grants are allocated and how it's supposed to be spent. And also when we do approve some of these grants, I know I've requested it that it actually be breaking down to the dollars and cents of if it's going to pay a salary, if it's buying curriculum, it's buying materials, so we can see the actual, breakdown. It's sad that, we're returning $250,000, a little bit more than $250,000 back because the district failed to adequately spend those funds where it's greatly needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
It is. It happens to be one of the sad consequences of not having a robust financial team watching over these things.
Ms. Oliver, please.
Trish, it's not so much a question, but just a comment, and also to say how much I appreciate the fact that you only been here less than 2 months, and the work that you have put in to find all these errors and the mistakes that people have been there, and it's cost us this amount of money. How heartbreaking and unspeakable damage they have done to our students, to the school district, that we're sending this amount of money back and then you're finding more. They have done such a disservice to our kids. This is despicable. And then the fact that you found some grants from 2010, it's unbelievable who was working in that department. Moving forward, we need to have better qualified people in those departments. We cannot be hiring somebody's friends or family members, because this is why we continue to get into the situation we are. And we are going to keep doing the same mistakes by continue to hiring friends or buddies or family members, and we're going to continue to disservice our kids by doing this. That is such amount of money. That's not a pocket change. We could have done so much for our kids in our school district with that money, and we're sending it back, and now we're going to have more money we have to send back. That's heartbreaking how much that money we could have done for our kids. I am so angry right now that the service we have done and the things we're going to continue to find in that department is disgusting.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Ms. Azak, please.
Okay, so I'm going to try to stay calm because I'm very upset about this, like the other committee members, to have to give money back for grants that we had. Trish, I appreciate all that you've done. Quick question, as far as, now I'm looking at these and they have like a 2023 date on them, June 2023. When will we know what else are we going to have to give back? If I missed that during your presentation, I apologize, but when are we going to know how much more are we going to give back? We're giving money back, but we have no money.
Right.
We're struggling, and I apologize, but it's just, we're giving money back that we don't have. Again, I get it. We're working on things. We're going to have better oversight when it comes to the grant department. But do you have an idea so we can actually know an actual number other than the 255 that we're giving back?
Yes. So I have been out sick the last 2 days, but I've still had my staff working on a number of things. I believe our next school committee meeting is in 2 weeks. Probably tomorrow is Wednesday. Probably Monday is a holiday. Probably within a week we'd have a good calculation of the next batch of 15 or so. So yeah, it will be soon. Don't forget, we're also trying to put together the FY25 budget, and a few other things. So everyone is really working hard to.
Oh, no, we appreciate and we understand. Not only are we trying, we're going into budget season, but we're also trying to deal with the deficit, and we're trying to clean up what happened.
Right.
So no, we appreciate that, and I apologize if we're coming off a little strong, but it's just some of us are a little emotional about this. This is heartbreaking to have to give money back that we don't even have, and we're cutting corners wherever we can, and this is to have to willingly give the money that was ours. So we have the grant administrators, and you have the grant manager. They have proper oversight right now moving forward? Not yet?
No.
Okay. So who's overseeing them?
Actually, Deputy Wolder and her administrative executive assistant are kind of picked up the ball right now, so they're doing the best they can with it. And Trish, and we have now we have Sean Dexter, who just rejoined us. So
does Mask offer anything as far as giving them a little bit of direction if that's not the field that they're normally in, just so we don't run into this problem, someone to turn to as far as if they have questions when it comes to grant management, grant oversight? Not just, is there something out there? Is there a resource?
We've actually been meeting with the grant managers. Janet Landerholm has been working with them to put together a grant management book, if you will, a manual, and she's been meeting with them to kind of bring everybody together and get on the same page as far as that. So it's been in process, but these grants were already open long before this. So
oh no,
that's what
definitely.
we're cleaning
That
up,
we
so.
know. It's just moving forward.
Right.
We don't want to give back any more
No,
money.
we're absolutely managing them much better, and we have the advertiser for the grant manager out again, and we'll be hiring somebody soon for that.
Okay, maybe we can have them come before us once they've gotten a chance to organize. Definitely have them come before the committee. just so we can see what kind of oversight they have moving forward. But Trish and your team, thank you again. Like my colleagues have said, you've done a lot in a short period of time. We do appreciate it, but it's frustrating. It's like every day there's something new. So this was a shock, but thank you again.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Any follow-up, Mr. Sullivan, please?
Yes, I'm not sure you can answer. Is TJ Plant still there? or-
Yeah, he's still there.
I'm here.
On your last slide, you were talking about circuit breaker funds. Is that being returned to the city? It goes
No.
back to 2018, 2019?
Circuit breaker is the 2024 appropriation that comes in quarterly that we're allocating to address the cost of special education and special ed transportation.
You had one finger up there, was, I think it was like $200,000 or $284 in 2018?
There's some small residual balances that we're just carrying that's in Munis right now, that we're going to extinguish those and use those just to kind of zero them out, again, not to give money back. And then there's also a circuit breaker pothole fund that I believe Trish is working on potentially filing an application to get circuit breaker funds to, additional circuit breaker funds to address some of the extra costs.
So you can go back as far as 2018 and recover money that wasn't spent on a circuit breaker?
Yeah, so circuit breaker, and I don't know the years, but circuit breaker is one that you could carry forward and be strategic on. So like if you do not need to use all your circuit breakers, sometimes it behooves the school district to keep a balance to help offset the next fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Any other questions for Mr. Plant at this time? Anything for Trish?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know, Dr. Cobbs, do you want me to just kind of show the detailed spreadsheet that we got
Yes.
a little over a week ago?
To answer your question regarding the Schedule 19, we found some old kind of Schedule 19 with a breakdown, so this is not the current one, but we can give you an idea of what's in there and what we're working on to work with the city on.
That'd be helpful, TJ, yes?
Okay, let me make sure I have the right one. Give me 1 second. Yep, okay, I got the right one. So let me share the screen. And so this is a ridiculously large workbook. This actually has at least 25 tabs, which is good because it actually gets to the details of the Schedule 19. So this is Schedule 19 as calculated from fiscal 22. And you'll see there's 23, and then you'll see there's like a 25 number. And I'm not sure exactly how that is, but I think for the committee to understand all the details that go into the calculation of net school spending and ultimately Schedule 19, a lot of it is legit. A lot of it is something that I think everyone would agree that the school department would need to pay a portion of, and I'll get into that. And then there's some that, we've raised red flags on. So this is the, the overall numbers as fiscal 22, and I won't talk about the veracity and the accuracy of the numbers. I don't know, but this has been the basis because this really gave us a really good insight into the calculation. So I'll go through it quickly and I'll flag the couple areas that we are kind of looking at and that Dr. Cobbs and I are kind of going back and forth on. So you can see this is how they calculated their side of net school spending related to the reductions. This theoretically should tie out to what I just showed you, but going back to fiscal 22. But that's the comp between fiscal 22 and 23. So this is a Schedule 19, and each of these departments has a tab that backs up how this calculation was made. And we've gone through each tab, and I will show you the tab just so you get a sense. And this is how it is ultimately calculated. So there isn't typically any doubt that the auditing department, the IT department, the finance department, the law department, and the treasurer play a role in helping the school department run their system. And that, I don't think, is up for debate. I think everyone knows that. This is just showing there's a 50-50 allocation for some of these different appropriations. Again, this is small numbers, but let me get into tab 4. This shows how they came up with the calculation for what Schedule 19 is going to, school department is going to be charged for the auditing department. And this is the methodology that exists. And this exists for every department that I just named, those 5 or so. And each of them have a tab, and they ascribe to 50%, and they say 50% of this budget where, this BPS, I'm guessing is 60+%, 58%, I don't know, I'd have to do a calculation of teachers or employees compared to the employees on the city side. I'll go through it quickly because it's just a lot of information. IT, same concept, is calculated based upon where they think this would land for how much, because we know BPS has their own IT department. It looks like they did 30% for ordinary maintenance and 10% for kind of just the CIO on the city side helping them. Finance, same concept, 50-50. Finance helps. And I can slow down. Law department, 50-50. Same concept, of how they came up with the number for the law department. Treasurers, they process all the warrants, pay the bills, and they get all that stuff, and so that's certainly okay. Law department settlements, they negotiate settlements on behalf of BPS. The number may be a little on the lower side. We got to look at that too, but judgments, this is just a 5-year average of what they came up with. Again, this is what we received. I assume it's accurate. We have legal expenses, just kind of calculating what the legal expenses are on behalf of school department. And then settlements, the number seems a little low, but hey, if that's what works, that works for what works. This is where all of the questions have come up as it relates to the cost for Schedule 19. So there is an assessment fee for admin to administer health insurance, life insurance, medical comp, Medicare, and pensions. And at minimum, I do not believe line 27 is eligible for Schedule 19 because I don't think you can charge the administrative costs of the pension system for non-teacher retirees at that rate. So this is one bone of contention that we're debating and continue to debate. But this is probably the biggest flag on where we're at when it comes to the Schedule 19 costs. And then you got, employee admin, health insurance. Again, they're paying the bills on behalf. I don't think this is that big of a deal. Numbers we can debate as it relates to that. It looks like it's 75%, and I just don't know if 75% is the accurate number for the number of employees. Life insurance, comparable. They're administering life insurance. The overall, it is a payroll deduction. That's pretty obvious of what it is, but minimal numbers in the grand scheme of things. Comp, I believe the law department runs medical comp on behalf of BPS, so I don't think that's a big deal, but correct me if I'm wrong, and if there's someone else out there to tell me otherwise. Treasurers, this is another part of the allocation that is related to the treasurer's Medicare tax. This is a formula. I'm drawing a blank on the percentage. It's like 1.45% of total payroll. Easy calculation, so we can figure out what that means in terms of the overall number for the Medicare taxes. And that is literally something you do at the end of the budget when you have your budget about to get adopted and you have your payroll, and you just take that number times the percentage, and then that's your Medicare number that should be ascribed to the school department. Retirement, same concept. This is just a calculation of those that are active. school, active, inactive, and retired, and city, active, inactive, and retired. And then that's the 58% to know if that is the number that should be utilized. Health services, this is a number that we zeroed out. I know it's small numbers, but this is actually a grant from a fire grant for them to do fire prevention trainings for our students in BPS. And this is a grant, so there's no reason that this should be paid for by BPS. And this is just the hours to show how this calculates that. But again, this is a grant, so it's not. This is where starting to ask more questions. This is recreation. Snow removal, we think that's pretty basic, that if they remove snow on behalf of BPS, that is okay. Questions about the public property, what's happening with public property for operation and maintenance, all questions we're asking. The recreation department, typically recreation is not net school spending eligible. That is outside school hours and outside school purview, so that is not net school spending eligible. So I'd have to know more about what the personal services for recreation would be. And ordinary maintenance and all that. So I'm getting there, sorry. Public property employees, this is the count. This is a question Dr. Cobbs raised, is what are these employees doing on behalf of that BPS? And how much does it cost, and what is BPS buying for this cost of $52,000? And the answer may be legit, I just don't know. Back to the Parks and Recreation for field maintenance. If field maintenance is being done in-house.
TJ, hold, they have a question, please.
Sorry, TJ. Can you, hold on just a second. Who are they employed by again?
Go back to the Parks and Recreation employee.
Parks and Recreation Department of Public Property, the city side.
So those are city employed being paid by school money.
A portion of, if they're doing work on behalf of BPS, a portion of their salary is being paid for by school money. And the question that's been raised is, what are they doing on behalf of BPS, and is this something we want to buy?
So this is why, if Mr. Gomes did not repeatedly ask for that Schedule 19, we would have never found any of this information. Again, this is why money's being taken away from my kids and nobody knows anything about it. This is why accountability needs to be spoken so the whole city of Brockton can hear it loud and clear. Those are not school employees. Does everybody hear it? Those do not belong to the school. Those are city employed being paid by our kids' money. Thank you. Keep going.
No, hold on. Oh.
Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. TJ, can we see invoices? Can we see what they were doing? I mean, at 29,000, nothing. There's no way of seeing what they did. At 29,000, that could be a part-time position that we could have hired.
So all I know is it's field maintenance, and the question that I have to Dr. Cobbs and that we have out to the facilities crew is, who does the field maintenance? Is it Parks and Recreation doing BPS ball fields and field maintenance, or does BPS have their own employees doing that work?
At that price point, that almost 30,000, is it, because I know that Parks does oversee some of our fields. Is it the work that I know they do cut the lawn at some of the schools and stuff, so there's no way of figuring out what
We
this
have our own
work is.
outside ground staff to do the schools, the ball field and the grass around the schools, everything else.
We have outside grounds, we have.
Well, I think this is associated with the cost of like the basketball courts and the other things that are next to the schools that, we don't have control over. I know that was a question you had a while ago on that.
This is why, excuse me, but this is why I alluded when I first got on the committee that the grounds is controlled by the school committee, and the city, from God knows when, hands it over to the Parks Department, and that falls on us. This is what I was alluding to years ago.
But we're getting billed for it.
So, TJ, you could continue.
But
'cause it
this
gets
isn't
better
going
than
on
this.
anymore though, right?
Well, that's why we're negotiating this year. We're looking into it so we can sit down and sort it out. And there is some money that
There's got
should
to be a
paid
paper
this year.
trail to see invoices or see time. Well, how do you just pay somebody 4,653 without any?
Right. Because that's what was negotiated with the city, I guess, prior years. So
No, I get it,
It'll
but
be a
there's-
different calculation this
there's
year.
no
That's why
paper trail?
that's why we're looking into this and
Oh, okay.
questioning those things.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Player, you can continue, please.
One question.
Mr. Sullivan has a question, please.
TJ, I was back a little ways, but the court settlements, there was a ton of them for $5,000.
So I have not gone into Munis to double check if those are actual, or if that's just an average that has been used to build up the court settlement number for the purposes of Schedule 19.
So they were not settlements, the $5,000?
I have not verified that there were numerous $5,000 settlements in your Munis system to know if that happens. I have not had the time, and we spent countless hours digging into this, and we've only had it for a week and a couple days.
Okay, thank you.
We could check on that with the solicitor's office. Go ahead, please.
Then there's the 62,000, that's for vehicle maintenance and repair and electrical services. Again, all stuff that's being asked of, by Dr. Cobbs to have the numbers defended. Snow removal, we talked about, that's probably maybe on the low end, but there hasn't been much snow this year.
That's low.
Benefit summary, this just gets into the numbers that, old numbers that we've seen on, the pensions and retirement contributions. Insurance summary, this is old numbers. You've seen the other numbers that are in the calculation I showed earlier. But it's, important for everyone to understand life insurance, small, generally administering the life insurance policies on behalf of the employees. It should be accurate, but again, we're verifying. And medical comp, we're looking into that.
TJ, just a quick question. When you say you're verifying it, who do you verify that with? The insurance company?
It's going to be through payroll deductions for life insurance of who have elected to have life insurance through one of, I would assume you have numerous vendors of life insurance in the school department that employees elect to have life insurance coverage.
Okay, thank you.
And we would just do it through payroll deductions, and if we had to reach out, but I don't know if we'd reach out to the actual company itself. The payroll deductions will show us most of everything we need to know, because it'll be, you'll see exactly who's getting it. Health insurance, I think we talked about that. Dental, this is where I think there's some wiggle room in the number for dental. Here, we think that my team and I think this can come down by a couple $100,000 based upon payroll deductions and what employees have elected to take out in terms of dental coverage for family and or individuals. Property insurance, I'm going to assume this is what is for your buildings to be adequately insured outside of your insurance policies and your self-insured. I have not dug into these numbers to know if these numbers are exactly what you're paying for property insurance. And school choice, that comes from the cherry sheet, charter, and then you got your small regional that needs to get their own funding. I think. All right, so I lied. It's 36 tabs and counting. Retiree school employees, that is part of that number. That is more accurate, that we've reflected in the number I showed earlier. And then this is the summary for insurance, the health insurance for retirees in addition to the pensions. And I think that is it. I know that's a lot of information. I know Dr. Cos wanted to show it just to show, A, the level of work that's going into the Schedule 19 review, but also the level of detail that, we need to go through just to understand all the calculations.
TJ, much like the request of Ms. Azak, could you get that to all of us as well?
Sure, we can definitely get this out. I'll send it out, and I'll send out a packet, I guess, to you, Dr. Cobb, and you'll get it to the members.
Thank you.
Any other additional questions for Mr. Plant at this time?
The plan, Dr. Cobb's, the insurance, it's like 1.4 million. When was the last time we reviewed, I'm sure you haven't, but when was the last time we reviewed those policies? And to see who holds all those policies? I'm sure we can probably try to get competitive rates.
That's part of the process this year. I know it sounds like a broken record, but that's, this is all new to a lot of us, but we're digging much deeper this year. Well, we'll sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a red flag for me.
We'll verify everything before it goes into the final budget presentation for approval. So.
But given that things have changed and cost of everything, just to make sure we have proper coverage as well.
Well, that's a good question too.
Okay.
Because that stems off of, as you know, what the buildings are valued at, and that's another area that we need to look deeper into.
No, definitely. And I'm just curious to see if it's one company that holds all the insurance policies.
Yeah, I don't know that, but I can
If we
find
could,
out.
I mean, that's just a question that I just never thought of till now. Now that we're seeing these, I'm just curious, just so we can make sure we're properly covered. And then you never know, there's competitive rates these days, and almost $1.5 million for insurance policies.
So that is all I have.
TJ, so next week is April vacation, and by policy, we can't meet during April or February vacation. So we'll be meeting 2 weeks from tonight, which is the 23rd. So that will give us as a membership time to kind of vet out everything you just gave us tonight.
Okay. I'll send that along to Dr. Cobb's by tomorrow afternoon, just to make sure. I mean, it's probably pretty big files, so I'll have to do it individually. And then just let us know if you have questions. Let me know if you have questions on any of the stuff I presented. It's a work in progress, and I don't know. I know Fiscal 25 update was on the list, Dr. Cobbs. I don't know if you just want to give a quick update on on that.
Yep, good.
That's the next.
Did you hear me,
agenda item.
TJ? Yeah, if you can do a quick update on 25.
Yeah, so right now, Dr. Cobb's teams, we met with a few of the bigger departments to go through some of their budget needs. They're in the process of putting together their budget requests to give to Dr. Cobb's and the cabinet. Once he receives those in the coming days or so, we will go through and start vetting the numbers and kind of making sure we understand that we're all on the same page as it relates to the needs. Also making sure we add in any of the expenses related to some of the stuff that might have been pushed off from 24 to 25, and then do a whole balancing approach on all of it from fiscal 25.
Vice Chair, I just gotta call the fire chief. Can you take over right now?
Thank you. Any questions from any of the members regarding FY 25?
Okay, so that concludes the budget update, fiscal 25.
TJ, are you all set? Trish, are you all set?
I'm all set. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be in touch.
All right. The only thing I want to allude is, I know I spoke to council earlier, and in these budget hearing meetings, there's a lot of work going on. It's 2-3 meetings a day, and Trish and TJ and Dr. Cobbs and his team and the cabinet, it's long hours.
Thank you.
The only thing that I implore, I know that this committee, we have to work, it's a work in progress, to get our, a policy that directly pinpoint down finances to include, if it's in our regular school committee meetings or specifically right down to the T, to every dollar, to include our grants, to make sure, you know, to echo what, you know, like the city council, no dollars get spent or, excuse me, expedited without this committee's approval. You've seen the money that we have to turn back to DESI. The Schedule 19, I seen that earlier. I was trying to catch my breath, like, how does this happen? Who's responsible for this? But we really need to target down, like, ASAP on the financial piece, because, you know, we have to work and get this budget done for 25, because we are basically at the end of May, April, to make sure that we get in front of the council. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. Thank you, Vice.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Working fire in Brockton, but no injuries, so that's good news. At this time, are there any items to refer to subcommittee? Oh, I'm sorry, any additional questions for Mr. Plant?
No, he's still there.
TJ, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, TJ. Thanks, Trish.
Thank you, Trish. Items to refer to subcommittee. Dr. Cobbs, you said there's one matter?
So we still have the transportation subcommittee meeting, which we had to push back. That's scheduled for Wednesday, April 24th at 6 p.m. Is that here, Melinda? Here in the little theater.
Before we get into that, I know we're in the financial piece. Dr. Cobbs, I'm going to give you the floor on this. Can you, I mean, we had our discussion. Can you just, so the public can know the hard work that's being done on BPS side, you know, because, you know, there's been a little bit of finger pointing. I don't want to go down that road. So can you allude to where we are with the spending, where we're projected below the spending cap?
For the overall budget?
Yes.
Yeah, so at this point in time, we should be at about 70, almost 75% of our total spending for the year, which would put us, the total budget allocation for the year was $234,646,722. So we should be currently at about 76, a little over 76% spending. To date, we are, all in, we're at about 66% spending. So right now, we're spending about 10% below the budget, so which would give us, if we finish the year at 10% under, will give us about $2.38 million for budget surplus. And as you can see, we still have some things to resolve, and so that may change. But, and again, we fully plan to use that money for students and for teaching and learning, but that's where we are today.
Thank you. I just wanted to allude that so some of the members didn't get the opportunity to look at the budget book and look at it, that we are below, and that's on top of freezing roughly $10 million. And that puts us in a surplus. We don't want to be in a surplus. That money's going to get spent. It has to get spent on the students. But just to show the hard work that the district is doing, you know, some people's made some comments. What are we doing? We're still continuing to hiring. That just shows the hard work that's being done by BPS.
But again, understand that we still have, 150 teaching positions that we have not filled with highly qualified master's degree teachers. So those positions need to be reinstated or filled next year.
Exactly.
Right now, we have long-term subs in those positions or paraprofessionals in those positions. So that money, it will be used. We just held back from, it was so late in the year that we knew we weren't going to get the teachers first of all till late in the year. So we just decided not to try to actively fill those positions and wait until next fiscal year.
Thank you.
The other point of information, just the membership, the vice chair, myself, Dr. Cobbs, city council president Moses Rodriguez, Megan Bridges, city solicitor, Troy Clarkson, the CFO, Trish Boyer on the school side. We've been meeting every week for the last 3 weeks since we last went into the State House on transportation. So I do want to thank the council president, because Moses doesn't need to do that, but we are going to be working together up until and through the budget. The budget, again, this year is going to be a little different on the city side. In the past, it was 3 nights. There will be a 4th night. The 4th night is going to be dedicated just to the schools. So again, we want to thank the council president on that. Any other madams to refer to subcommittee? Ms. Azak?
Thank you. So Dr. Cobbs mentioned that there's a safety, traffic, and transportation subcommittee meeting on the 24th,
24th.
23rd. I've asked Vice
24th.
Chair Rodriguez to cover for me.
Okay.
I chair that, but I will not be in attendance that evening. So I just wanted to make sure that that's on the record, that he will be chairing that.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then should we also pencil, we've been talking about making some policy changes or adding some policies. If we can maybe get a policy meeting scheduled.
I had a conversation with our legal counsel. There's some policies that we have to, I could schedule that with Dr. Cobbs and legal counsel and put that on the agenda. So if we're probably looking at May, early May, to get those squared away.
Thank you.
Mr. Sullivan, did you have a subcommittee matter?
Yes, the meeting on the 24th is now the 23rd?
It's the 24th.
I think it's 24. I think it's
23rd. 23rd is a regular school committee meeting. 24th is a subcommittee meeting.
Is that here at 7
Yes.
o'clock?
6 o'clock on the 24th.
6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
Any other matters go to subcommittee at this time? Ms. Azek?
Dr. Cobbs, do we need to schedule a facilities subcommittee meeting? I'm sure we're going to have to meet on.
Yes.
Okay. If we
Can
can
do
schedule
on the-
that
on the
for
same-
early
We can do it on
May.
the same night on the 24th?
I'm not here, and I chair that.
Okay, so we'll schedule it for sometime in May.
The first week in May, if we could.
First week in May.
I do anticipate working with the vice chair to call a few special school committees, and I say few. There will be quite a few, because we're late in the game with the budget for '25. So we'll accommodate your schedules, but just be aware that we will be meeting on a regular basis for this, okay? The superintendent has asked me, if nobody objects, if we could take number 7 out of order at this time before we go with the consent agenda number 4. The Yonder representatives are here via Zoom. Is there any objection to take number 7, school safety and security, out of order at this time? Can I entertain a motion on that? So motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Motion was made by Mr. Sullivan, properly seconded by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, it passes. Again, number 7, we'll take out of order, school safety and security, police liaison, Yonder representatives, Brockton High School, importance of full school implementation. I do know we have a couple different police representatives here on behalf of the chief tonight, but if nobody objects, if we could do the Yonder folks first, since they've been on for a while. No objections? Okay, thank you. Dr. Cobbs.
Andrew, are you there?
Hey, Dr. Cobbs, yes. I'm on the call, and I have with me our founder and CEO, Graham Degoni, as well as our COO, Catherine Damkohler. So just wanted to go ahead and give a bit of context for the school committee as well. We've been engaging with your district to bring Yonder to your school since summer of last year. And we actually came on site and met with building personnel and administrators in February. And part of the thing that we find extremely important in rolling this out effectively with longevity is garnering as much buy-in and commitment from students, staff, and school committee alike. And so the reason that I wanted to go ahead and invite Kathy and Graham on this call is so that they can really share and impart sort of the ethos and the reason why we have these best practices in terms of garnering that full student support for the long-term success of Yonder at your school. So I'll pass it off to Graham.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Again, my name is Graham Degoni. I'm founder and CEO of Yonder. Yonder has been around for 10 years. Started the company in 2014, creating phone-free spaces, specifically phone-free schools. We now work with over 3,000 schools in 21 different countries. So I'm happy to answer any questions. The thing that I wanted to speak to, just to echo what Andrew spoke about, is the learnings we've had over 10 years. And every single parent, every teacher, every school administrator is now very aware of the issues posed by cell phones for student development and just the emotional well-being and development of young people in general. Our mission as a company is to support educators and create a learning environment for students that is distraction-free and allows them 8 hours a day outside of the influence of social media, fear of being filmed and posted online, distractions, inability to focus, all the things that come with the phone. So we're not an anti-technology company. We believe that the best way to help educate students and support teachers in the classroom is to create a phone-free learning environment. And again, we've learned this over the course of 10 years, the best way to do this and how to garner that kind of community commitment to support this kind of program. I will share a few learnings from our early years because I think it's relevant for the discussion right now. In the early going of Yonder in 2014 to about 2016, we had teachers reaching out to us all over the country saying they would like to use Yonder in an isolated use case in the classroom. We started doing that and we found very quickly that the program fell apart. There were a lot of reasons for it. It made it very, very difficult administratively for teachers to stay on top of a policy that was not unified and solid across the entire district or school, whatever the case may be. And also, it did not resolve any of the other issues that are related to phones inside the school. So you still had students orchestrating fights, cyberbullying, all the distractions, all of those things were still taking place, and it quickly fell apart. And that's the case now. Most of the districts we work with have a cell phone policy in place. It's just not effectual. And where Yonder comes to support is to give them the tools, the product, but also the programmatic support to actually support teachers and administration to make a policy successful and ultimately get student buy-in. So I guess my point is that approaching the problem in a holistic way for the campus is vital to this being successful and ultimately the benefits that you expect to see and we've been seeing for 10 years, which is massively improved student engagement, far less disciplinary issues and fights happening in schools, improved student test scores, and an improved working environment for teachers. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I just can't make that point strongly enough. This is over 10 years of creating phone-free schools. We were the first to do it, and we've learned so much along the way.
Thank you very much. Any members of the committee have any questions for the Yonder representatives? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. It's more, well, both Dr. Cobbs and the Yonder representatives. Do we have the Yonder bags and has the staff been trained on them? I know they were going to offer
No,
some
not yet. Principal Casco is working with the Yonder team to implement, but we haven't received them yet. So, no.
I thought we ordered them about a
Right.
month ago.
Right.
Is there a holdup?
We ordered them, Andrew, I'm not sure if you want to chime in on that, but we gave them the purchase order. So, yeah, they'll be coming in, but not yet.
Yeah, so we're in receipt of the revised purchase order. So on Thursday, we actually have two of our representatives traveling to the school to meet with of our implementation team to meet with your team to do a walkthrough of the building. The initial discussion that we had was more of a sales and a discovery discussion, and so. Now that we have the PO, we actually are engaging in the onboarding and formal training process, at which point, as is per our protocols, we typically will ship product after that implementation meeting, which you'll be having on Thursday.
So how long does it take to ship the product? Where's it
Roughly a
coming
week.
from? I'm sorry, where's the product being shipped from?
It's being shipped from New Jersey, I believe.
Okay. And so we should have these at least?
So it's not just a question of shipping them and getting the shipping and receiving them. I think you just said that it's a training program. It's a layout of the building for how we're going to deploy the magnets, unlock the pouches, and train the staff. So we don't just want to get them shipped in and start handing them out without going through the proper training program and implementation. And that part of the reason why they wanted to present and be here tonight is to explain to you that what's the best practice, the best policy, or way to implement the Yonder pouches, and essentially it's not to do the 3-strike rule, it's to implement the whole policy. And that's a discussion that this school committee, this board should have is, do we really want to start rolling them out now as a 3-strike and it has a very different effect and connotation as opposed to rolling out the whole program and instituting it from the start, which would be better served to do it in September. So that's a discussion we should have tonight, not just when do we get the pouches in and we start handing them out or using them. It's way late in the game. We have 3 months left of school, and I'm not sure the best practice would be to implement them now with a 3-strike rule, and it's a different presentation for the students and the families. So that's a discussion we want to have tonight.
But I mean, we voted on it back in February.
To implement the policy.
To implement the policy, order the yonder bags, and let's get this going.
But we didn't say when. We didn't implement, we voted, we changed the policy to buy all the yonder bags instead of, but we changed the policy, and it didn't say we would start it in June or May or whatever.
I thought it was after February vacation.
Right.
We'll have to go back and see what the committee voted, but I mean, there was an urgency that we addressed it. It's just, no, I get it. We're going to be end of April in a couple of weeks, then you're going to be in May.
Right. Exactly,
Why are we going to do it? But we still have an issue, and maybe just
right. And again, that's why we're doing this discussion tonight, to think about it and what's the best way to implement the policy and implement the yonder bag pouches. And I agree with the yonder representatives and Principal McCaskill. If you'd like to chime in, so you certainly may, but I think that we should get everything set up and trained, and the staff trained and implemented at the beginning of the school year.
I mean,
that's my recommendation.
Principal McCaskill is at the high school. He's seen this firsthand. I would like to see what he would recommend, but I thought we voted on this for February, roll it out. We rushed, we voted on it. I thought they were going to be ordered. We were going to have them by the end of February vacation, and then we were going to go ahead and start this as soon as the students came back. And I feel like all we do is we vote on things, and just things aren't getting done. And no offense or anything, but it's just, we rushed to vote on this, and if Principal McCaskill can just give us his recommendation. But it's just,
rushing isn't always the right answer. I understand what you're saying, Joyce, and we really need to think about this and implement it the right way. So it, like you said, they have 10 years of experience doing this, and I trust their judgment.
yeah, they're not here though. They're not at Brockton High on a daily basis.
And I agree, but I just, my recommendation, that's why we're having this discussion tonight in an open forum. So.
How many devices are we going to have?
3,600.
How many?
3,600.
No, unlocking devices, because I know that was a question.
Andrew, I'm not sure those numbers to answer those questions, the inventory.
Yeah, I'd like to know how many unlocking devices we're going to have, because one of the biggest questions one of the concerns is we don't want to have long lines of kids getting the pouches unlocked. But again, it was for those that are breaking the rules. It's not going to be every single student.
It's not going to be instantaneous. Again, that's why I'm saying implementing the policy and training the staff and how to do that. It shouldn't be rushed. It shouldn't be an overnight thing just because we get boxes of pouches.
I get
Absolutely.
it.
That's going to be part of what Rukai and Alka will be working with your team on Thursday. So you'll have an allotment of up to 40 pouches to one base. That will come included with your Yonder Education starter package. So more than enough for your entrances and exits. Now, we work not only with schools that are of a very large size, but we also work with really significant venues that have Fenway Park, Madison Square Garden, that have tens of thousands of people going in and out. So egress and flow is something that we are experts on, not only in the education space, but in other spaces as well. So rest assured that our team will make sure that bottleneck is not an issue at Brockton High. So just wanted to put that out there as well. And Graham, Kathy, feel free to jump in.
So my understanding is not every single student's going to have a Yonder pouch. It's only those that are getting in trouble.
When we implement the full policy, they will.
Okay, the full policy.
Right.
Okay.
The full implementation of the program, absolutely. Every student will have a pouch.
Because I mean, a base for every 40 pouches, I mean, that's just...
Well, that's like 2 classes, basically. So. But that's why, again, to rush to implement it may be a false start for us to do that.
Ms. Azak, before I go to Ms. Oliver, did you have a question for Principal McCaskill?
Yeah, if he could give us his recommendation. I mean, he is the principal. He's here every day. I understand it's late in the game, making the changes, but you're here every day.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, we had our initial meeting with the Yonder representatives, and that was a concern that it is a phone-free initiative, which means every student needs to have a bag. And there is a process going forward. And after deep discussions with our entire team, it was concluded that we should actually wait to get all the training and look to implement when we are fully ready. Having 2 or 3 weeks doing this would not be effective, and that's when I reached out to Dr. Cobbs, and we had a conversation, and then Yonder actually contacted Dr. Cobbs. So that was our recommendation, that we just do it right with some integrity, as opposed to going out there and having something that would simply blow up in our faces, and then we just add on and pile on to the issues that we currently are addressing at the school.
Any follow-ups for the principal at this time?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to agree. I think it's going to be very difficult for the students in the school, and my concern as a former principal is the students. You know, they're going to come into this building, and it's quite traumatic not to have your phone for the first time all day long. And we want to prepare everyone in the school, every stakeholder, parents, the teachers, everyone, to help them with this paradigm shift. That doesn't happen overnight. There really has to be training. Yonder is a program. It is just like a math program when you're implementing it, or a reading program. Everyone has to be trained. Everyone has to know. And the students have to know. They have to know what's going to come. They have to know what the expectations are. When you set that up, that's when change actually happens. And our goal for you, because I could hear your frustrations, is that you want that change overnight. And I understand. I came from a very similar school. And you want to do everything you can to help the students learn. But trust us, we really do know the best way to handle this. And we will work with you all the way. We're not going to leave you. We're not going to drop off packages. We are going to be there to support you and work with you and provide you with the materials, the curriculum resources that you will need to help implement this program.
Sorry, just a little rebuttal. It's not really an overnight. We've been talking about this for over a year. So it just, we talk about it, we vote on it, pause. Talk about it, vote on it, pause. I'm just surprised that I personally thought the Yonder bags were already here. And that was a surprise that they weren't. So, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. It's just, we make policies and we're trying to enforce them. And again, we can't. So it's just, and it's frustrating as a committee member. You know, it's very frustrating because we try to enforce these policies and then people tell us, well, you got to enforce them. We're trying. But again, we just got another vote. I get it. It's just been a interesting night.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
difficult. It is.
And just, Joyce, part of enforcing policies, policies don't enforce themselves, votes don't enforce policies, people enforce policies, and we need people to enforce the policy, which we plan to have in place in September. It's just fully staff and bring back some people, hire more security staff, so we can implement the policies with fidelity.
Ms. Oliver, please.
Just to piggyback from Ms. Azak, I completely understand, but per my, also my understanding, I thought they were here. I thought we were using it for students that were doing in-house suspensions. My understanding moving forward, I do not want us to be in the dark. If this was never here, I thought they were already here on the ground, already trained the staff. I thought they were already in the building. I thought they were already being used. I am giving false hope to educators who are reaching out to me, to parents who are reaching out to me, that we had this in the building. So if we don't know they're in the building and I'm giving false information, I look like a fool. So if I'm being put in the dark and I'm not knowing what's going on, we look like the fools. So this is why.
You can certainly email and ask me anytime or call me to
But I
ask me questions.
understand that, but it's
Absolutely.
also, you're supposed to give us that information. It was never here.
That's why
because
we're talking about this tonight.
we voted this in February. Per our understanding, it was already going to be here to be used, and for especially for kids in in-house suspension. We were never made aware that it was never brought or bought to us, that we would still need more training, just more open communication. So when parents or educators are asking us, like, this is what's happening, so we can be more open with them to let them know, because it's for their children's safety, and we need to be open communication so they know what's happening. Per Ms. Azek, like myself, I did not know we did not have it. Just moving forward, like, just better, like, communication. You know what, Ms. Oliver, no, we did not buy it. It's not here yet. This is what's happening. This is what transpired. There's more training to do it. And I respect that. And I can tell, you know, parents and educators, this is what's happening. But when I don't know something and I'm thinking it's here, now I look like a fool because I thought it was here.
So again, we realized that there was a delay in the process from the time you voted and the time we had, again, another false start because, you know, the initial dollar amount was too high. We were debating whether we need to go out to bid or do an RFP, and then there was a change again. So we had to pause the onboarding process and the training process because, you know, there are vendors that need to be paid. So once that was voted again and straightened out, now we have to go through just start the process all over again, to start the training and what are the pouches and so.
Yeah, I completely understand.
And that's why,
that.
again, we're having the discussion tonight as we're getting ready to receive the pouches and put them in play. How do we want to do it? What's the best way to implement it? And I just don't think. I agree that it's starting it off as a punitive program is not the way to do it. Whether in house suspension or 3 strikes or, you know, I think, and we agree, it's all or nothing at all.
So they're coming in on Thursday to do the training.
Right.
We have school vacation coming up in a week. So when is expected delivery into our school?
So we'll have the pouches soon. I mean, again, and just because we receive boxes of pouches doesn't mean we start dishing them out and
Yeah,
using
'cause the
them
school year is almost
indiscriminately. Exactly, and that's my point. That's why we're having this discussion. The school year is almost over, and what's the best way in the time to implement the program? And I would think most of the teachers and the unions would agree that they need to be trained properly, and it's not going to happen in a week or a few days. We receive a bunch of boxes of pouches.
Okay, agreeable. Thank you.
Any questions for the principal at this point?
No.
You can sit down first.
Thank you, Mr.
so much.
McCaskill.
Thank you, Kevin. Mrs. Sullivan, please.
It's just a comment. I think it's a monumental thing to implement this cell phone policy. It's never been done at Brockton High. And I think that I respect your opinion, Dr. Cobbs and Principal McCaskill, for
We need to do it right.
the
Thank you.
thoughtful process that you're putting into this. This is going to affect many students and many families that have never seen this kind of policy before. So I respect your opinion, Principal McCaskill's opinion on this. Thank you very much for all
Thank
that
you.
work.
We really, you're right. This is absolutely a whole change for the school, for this community, for the city, and we need to do it right. Otherwise, it's a lot of money wasted, and we need to. And if it goes by the wayside and it's implemented kind of, you know, not correctly or in phases, it's just not going to work. And again, it's late in the school year. We really have to take a look at what we're doing. Thank you.
Any members that haven't asked a question have any questions? Vice Chair?
Thank you, Chairman. I have a question for the Yonder representative, but all I want to say is that the committee voted for this last year, so this was a revote on the cell phone policy. Myself and former Vice Chair Ellers and a team from the district, we spent the day out in Springfield and seeing how the rollout is and how they implement the Yonder bags. It works. They have the data that supports that. It's something new. I support it 100%. And I always, you know, our private conversations and those that I do have those conversations with is I invite the committee to go to other districts that have the Yonder bags, take the drive, take the time off, and see how it's working in other districts and how it's going to help here in BPS. You know, we can't roll it out in the ninth inning as per se to, you know, disrupt. These kids are going to have a hard time when this is rolled out, but they do need the training, in making sure that it's rolled out properly. When we did vote for this yonder bag, the proper information wasn't given to the committee. That's clear as day. So we just have to make sure that it's done properly. But my question to the yonder representatives, do you guys like go out and solicit, school districts that don't have the yonder bag, or to employ, to implement this into their schools?
I'm sorry, I missed just the first part of the
Do
question.
you guys go out and solicit other school districts across the country to buy into this yonder program?
We have a partnerships team, so we do outbound. We reach out to school districts. The vast majority, about 90% of all the business we do, is by referral and inbound.
Okay, like if a school district wants to, let's say for example, not Brock, but we're interested in your program, but we are more interested in doing a trial basis for 1 year to see if this actually works for us. Do you guys have something with your business model to actually have that process?
For pilot programs?
Yeah.
Certainly.
Is it possible for us as a district to do a pilot program for next year? I know this is something that we can have a conversation. When I mean a pilot program is that we're spending money on this yonder bag to see if that data actually supports this district in utilizing those yonder bags.
Of course. So what's pretty typical, a pattern for us, is that a district will reach out. They're interested in working together. They'll choose a handful of schools. It can be up to 10, 5, 10, depending on the size of the district, and roll that out. A lot of the times that's mid-semester, or it can be at the beginning of a semester. The most normal is obviously at back to school. And then they'll put together the survey and the data they'd like to collect, where then at the end of that first semester, everyone can see the results of the program.
Okay. Is there a cost to that pilot program?
It just depends on the number of students that we're talking about.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Of course.
Vice Chair. Mr. Sullivan, did you have any questions?
Just one. This is for the yonder people. Catherine, are you still there? Or anybody from yonder?
Yes.
Could you briefly explain how this program works? In other words, when the kids come to school, what happens? They have to turn their phone in or put it someplace?
Yeah.
And when they
Of
leave,
course.
how do they get it back?
Yeah, I'm happy to give just a broad overview. The way the Yonder program works, again, as Kathy mentioned, we support all the schools and districts we work with year-round. Functionally, if you're a student going through the actual school day, the way it works is every student is assigned a pouch, kind of like a textbook for the year. As you're actually, and Andrew's holding up an example there. As the students step into the school, their phones and their wearable tech go inside the pouch. When you close it, it locks. So Andrew's showing it unlocking. So inside the school day, every student has possession of their devices, which is very important. So they can have it in their locker, their backpack, on their person, but they're physically unable to access it. So you're not confiscating and dealing with the liability of confiscating tens of thousands of dollars of equipment. And you're also giving the responsibility in a positive way to students to keep their phone on their person. At the end of the school day, as they exit, that's when they tap their pouch on the unlocking mechanism. It just pops open. Then they're free to jump on the bus, call an Uber, call their parents, whatever they need to do.
It sounds easy. Thank you.
Ms. Azak, do you have a follow-up?
I do, and it's just directed in no disrespect, but the school committee, moving forward, we voted on something. We expected something by a certain date. If things change, I don't have time to email because I wouldn't know to email. I expected it to be done. But if we can just have better communication and just notify us there's a delay, because we're taking time to vote on things as a body, and I don't want to keep harping on the same thing, but we're voting on things, and I can't keep an ongoing list like, all right, is this done, is this done, is this done? If we can just, if we were notified I think it would have been a different situation this evening, but I think a few of us were caught off guard, not realizing this isn't even going to happen till September. So
Well, the
I
decision
respect-
wasn't made to make it happen until December. That's why we're having a discussion now to decide whether or not we're going to do it in September or try some kind of pilot or rollout now or after school vacation. And that's why we're having this discussion. We didn't just decide that and put it off. We're here to have a public debate about it.
Well, there was a delay somewhere because this was supposed to happen back in February.
What delay was getting the payment approved finally in whatever form so they could order it, give them an invoice, give them a check.
No, I understand. And like I said, no
Rather.
disrespect, but the committee didn't know this. And I think we should have been notified because we're sitting here, we're voting on items as a committee, and we need better communication. Just somebody notify us so we know what's going on. Like, you know, Miss Oliver mentioned, we're telling teachers, we're telling parents, this is going to be rolled out. We're waiting for them. We thought they were already trained. We thought they were already here. I'd like to know, where are they going to be stored? They're very expensive. Where are they going to be stored? And if we can keep track of it.
They will be stored in our warehouse facility at 90 on Foster Street until they're distributed to the high school.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zazak. Any other follow-ups for the Yonder folks? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know the other component of the agenda item, school safety, I know we have Sergeant Mike Livingston here. I also know, again, Principal McCaskill's here. Chief Perez couldn't be here tonight, but the sergeant is here. Mike, thank you for being here tonight. Sergeant, thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening. Good evening. Well, at least I have some good news to share with you guys. All right. It's my job as the liaison between the school department and the Brockton Police Department, and also being the supervisor of the school police. I'll get right to it. Fights have been previously reported that have been trending downward. I got some great news that fights are pretty much not in effect anymore. We've only had 3 fights since our last meeting. I remember when Officer Mosley came up here and said it was trending down. And I know every time we talk, we knock on wood and, you know, hoping everything. I know we got the breaking of the weather and the school vacation, but really, due to your efforts, Mr. McCaskill and our safety team, the school police, the floor teachers, the assistant deans, they're awesome. You know, working together. And that's going to be my theme for the next 5 minutes. I'm not going to hold you long like a sermon. You know, for the next 5 minutes, a collaborative effort. And that's really why we're getting these results. And so, like, speaking of collaborative efforts, we reinstated the CBJJ meetings, the community-based juvenile justice meeting. And that whole goal of that is for safety for all of us. And those meetings, it brings us all together. Like you were talking about communications, really putting us all on the same page. What's the best strategy? What are some cases that we really need to look at? And it's a statement to be said that when you have the district attorney, Timothy Cruz, our own chief, Brenda Perez, there in that office with you, Dr. Cobbs, and you, Mr. McCaskill, and myself, and then juvenile probation, we're all in this room deliberating, talking, what are the strategies, and this is the fruit of it. You know, we're not there, but we're going to keep pressing toward it. Excuse me for that feedback. You know, and also I wanted to mention about our school officers. Our school officers are all up to speed with our training. We have to have specialized training to teach within these facilities, considering our children's mental capacity, their mental growth, de-escalation, and we're all up to speed with that training. But training's never really, we need more training. For instance, one of the big things when we talk about these phones, right? And the planning on fights and the disruption, well, we're trying to get training so we don't have to exacerbate the BPD, the municipal side of getting detective work, and we're trying to get into our warrant writing so we can get that information and appropriately address those situations. So training is key for us, but we are up. And it's not just policing that you would traditionally think of. Like I'm talking, we're up to speed with our CPR, medical emergencies, and we're trying to meet the needs of all our 17,000 kids. throughout the whole city, and our staff, and the ancillary pieces and parts that take place. And when I talk about collaborative, I see you up there, Joe. Joe's helping us out as the eye in the sky. You know, when we're trying to keep the safety within the city, I hear him chiming in on the radio. Officer Nazario, likewise, checking out, just being eyes for everyone to keep our place safe as can be. March 12th, Ed Davis's consulting team came in. We all know Ed Davis, used to be Commissioner of Boston, has a consulting team working with DESE. And I'm excited to see what ideas that we can implement to make Brockton even more safe. But I like what we got, but we can get better, and we're going to get better. So that was our meeting there on the 12th. One thing I really want to break down and try to enhance the relationship with our kids and our officers, because one thing, our main role here as officers on the campus is to be a resource, to be a mentor. You know, I mean, we do have to do the policing side, but we really want to be part of their lives. And one thing we're implementing on Fridays is called Plainclothes Fridays. And we tear down that wall and have just you can see the humanity of us. Many of our officers are coaches within the city. You know, we go to churches here, we shop here, and we want our kids to see that we're parents, we're brothers, we're friends, we're the community. We are Brockton. So that's one thing I really want to implement. We started it, but we got busy. But what it's going to be is the 2 based officers for the week on Fridays. They get the plainclothes dress. You'll still know we're officers. We already know each other by name and face anyway, but I'm really excited about that. Now for some news that was not such good news, but it worked out well. On March 21st, we had an intruder on the Pluff campus. And if you remember that day, check your Farmer's Almanac, it was a very gusty day. So on that day, one of the doors didn't latch appropriately. And just so happened, some trespasser was walking by and walked right in. But to the credit of our staff at the Pluff, they confronted him and he scurried on out, and police, we radioed all this collaborative information I'm talking about. We were able to track him down and place him under arrest. And then I spoke with Jamie Domestico and Ken Thomas, and we checked out that door, and Chief doubled down on that. And Chief had us double checking the door just for the peace of mind for our constituents to know that we're taking this serious. But that door was okay. It was just a gust of wind, and it just so happened. The metal detectors, I have to give credit to our administration. Our administration foresaw like a potential that these things do break. I mean, they're very durable and they're very convenient. They help us tremendously. But sometimes they do go down. So we have an extra one. So we can just swap right in. I can call. I see how you're talking to Yonder. I could talk to Chia. That's the weapons detection company. Call up IT, work on them, and I fix them in, and it's working seamlessly. So I really appreciate the efforts and how we can do this together. Another positive thing really doesn't have to do with safety, but it's with the Youth Academy. And right now in the Youth Academy, I hope it's over by now because we've been here a long time. But the Youth Academy, Brockton's Youth Academy takes middle schoolers throughout the city and they educate them what police officers do. We train them with our disciplines, our different facets of what we do, why we do it, how we do it, the passion behind it. And I'm so excited for Officer Anderson. She heads that up with Officer Mosley. But we really couldn't do this done we really couldn't get this done without the collaborative effort and assistance from you, Dr. Cobbs, and Jim Perez, our transportation director. We are renting, Brockton PD rents those buses so we can use to get our kids bused to that area. So that's awesome. One thing we should also remember that every incident that happens throughout the city is not directly connected or on our campus or from Brockton School Department, but inevitably it does kind of trickle back to our kids. It does trickle back to our kids. And so we have to keep pushing forward, holding our kids accountable. And the last thing I want to mention, again, it's not really a safety matter, even though police had to respond. Unfortunately, a week and a half ago, we lost one of us, a teacher at the Downey School. But I'm so proud of you, Dr. Cobbs, and all your school department. Sharon, you were there. John Snellgrove, we all just descended down on the Downey with Yolanda DeFalco, she's the principal, and we just loved on those kids, affirmed one another. We really didn't even know what to say. That was a very emotional day. I'm just glad I was there, and just looking at you, Dr. Cobbs, we really had no words, but just to let those kiddos know that we love them and we're there for them. And that's what I'm going to conclude is, remember, even though I'm a cop, we got to do the police job, but at the heart of it, these are our kids. They're not just kids. Those are our kids. Our kids. And we got to hold them accountable, but we got to love on them. And remember, this is why we got into this profession, is to be there for them. So I look forward to hopefully 2 weeks give you another good, uplifting, if you will, safety meeting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Actually,
Principal, good evening again.
Well, I guess he gave my report, so not too much for me to say.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we can honestly say, I mean, we're seeing a downtick, but we still have work to do. One of the things we are not underestimating the work that still needs to be done here at the high school. And one of the things, obviously, and we speak about it from an administrative perspective, is what type of culture are we going to build within that school where violence isn't the answer, where kids can talk, I even think things happening in the neighborhood, they don't bring it inside the school. But at this time, I want to applaud the work of the associate principals, the assistant principals, our floor teachers who are doing just a tremendous job. And we're seeing an uptick in the performance of our school safety and security specialists. And again, still working on them. I know we lost 2 individuals who left the position. We are getting those positions posted so we can rehire. But slowly but surely, we're making progress. And I think that's the key. Slowly but surely, we're making progress. And as Sergeant Livingston indicated, weather's getting warm, and certain things happen when it starts getting warm, so we have to be really armed with what's going on and our alertness and as such. The one thing we've also seen when we have a school that is near capacity from a staffing perspective, we see less incidents. And in the last couple of weeks, we've seen an increase in absenteeism. So I'm hoping that, those things can subside and we really get to our point where we're at maximum capacity to really meet the needs of our students and as well as us as staff members. But we're still standing. We're doing more than standing. And one of the things I want to get away from is that we're surviving. We want to get to the point of thriving. And that is always going to be our essence at Brockton High School, to get to thriving. So again, very pleased with the progress that we're making. Still got a ton of work, and I want to put this out to the school committee. If there's something, again, going through Dr. Cobbs, if there's something that you want to know about us, we're an open book. We are truly an open book. We have nothing to hide. We just want things to be done right and with integrity. And if you have any questions for me, I'll take them at this moment.
Any questions for the principal or for Sergeant? Ms. Azak, please.
One question for Sergeant Livingston. Where are we with the Enforce 911 program? I mean, we voted that in over a year ago.
Joyce, I know we're still in the process of that, and how about I email you tomorrow, with an accurate update, because I know we'll give a number. We're 90% this, that.
I mean, I know we have a lot of schools, and I think that was one of the things, the amount of schools that we have. I mean, this is what they pitched to us, and if you can't do it, then let's move on and find something else.
Absolutely.
But if you can't, you talk the talk, but if you can't walk the walk, we'll go to a different program.
And I'll CC all of you, so you'll know.
If you
Because
could
I
do
know,
that.
I was thinking that too. I was like, when are we going to get this up and running?
No, definitely, and then.
I can answer to that
Sure.
somewhat, because I did reach out to them recently, last week, to get an update on where they are. It's I can't overstate, it's a heavy lift to, first of all, and it started months ago with the finance department, to locate every personnel in every building and put them in the right place. Because and we sent out survey sheets to all the principals, all the names of the people, and asked them who's in your building and who isn't, and we had to cross-reference all that, put everybody in the right place. And then we had to send that to the Enforce 911 people, so they have to account for every person in every building, and whether or not the staff members choose to opt in on their personal devices, we have to know what building they're in, so, and we'll send them, the messages on their school-owned property, their laptops or their desktops. So that's been it's been a lot of work. I mean, you're talking 3,000 employees, over 3,000 employees. So that's, they're at the point now where they pretty much got that sorted out. So the next part of the program will be, and then in the process of that too, they're also, we've been drone mapping the buildings. We've been mapping out the floor plans with the doors, the exit, the door numbers. So there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes that, again, it's not an overnight thing. I know it's been a while, but I check in with them and we get an update periodically. And again, it's probably ideally going to launch in September. But so it's a lot of work. So.
I mean, okay.
But that's, that will be part of our overall security plan for the schools and for the high school. It's, again, I know you vote on something, you want it to happen the next day. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen that way.
It's not next day, Dr. Cobbs. It's been a year. And it was under a different administration.
Right.
So it's not, it wasn't.
It's a lot of work, and I've been involved
administration.
as the deputy superintendent in operations with this for months. I check in with them periodically, and we get updates, and it was a lot of work to just actually locate people and put them in the right building so we know who's there and who to alert and what device.
But I mean, those are going to constantly change. They're going to change.
Yeah, it will, but you had to start somewhere. You have to get them all, at least most of them anyway, and it will change again significantly, if with some of the moves, because we have to move schools because again we lose, the moving out of the lease spaces and those things, so it will change again.
Okay. I mean, as long as the cost, I mean, we didn't.
So that's why it's
didn't pay
best
anything, did we?
probably is to aim for September. So we'll have those sorted out, and people will be assigned to their new schools or wherever they're going to be.
Okay. And while one other question is, where are we? Have we hired the security personnel? Have we? I know job ads went out. Have we hired? Have we interviewed?
No,
hired?
I'm still waiting to get the personnel change request form back from City Hall. That's where we are with that position.
So who do we need to reach out to for that? Because I mean, again, we're in April.
Troy, but he's out of state right now, so I'm waiting for him to come back so we can connect on it.
Chair, is there someone else that we can reach out to at City Hall, just so we can at least get them hired? Trained?
We've written the job ad. Myself and the chief, we looked at it and worked on it together. I gave it to HR and they kind of cleaned it up, so it's ready to go when we.
So it hasn't been posted?
No, it has not been posted.
Okay.
Mr. Sullivan, please.
Yes, Sergeant Livingston.
Yes.
On March 21st, there was an intruder. Can you talk about that, or is that out of the question?
No, that was just pretty much basically what it was. It just, he was a mentally challenged, not even mentally challenged, having a mental episode, and he just so happened to be in the area, saw an open door, and he just waltzed right on in there,
Did he have intentions of doing harm to somebody, or?
I can't speak for that, but it looks like he wandered around real quick. A staff member was in the hallways, fortunately, right there. We can track through video all his movements. He didn't come in contact with any children. Got confronted by the staff member. He jettisoned himself out, egressed out, and we caught him down the block or so between school police and Brockton police.
I know you said you arrested him. What was he charged with, trespassing, or?
Yeah, trespassing, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Oliver, please.
Just wanted to, Sergeant, thank you for all the work you're doing. For the mentor program, are those mostly for like the male students? Because I know like a lot of the videos that we see, that we've seen in the past, a lot of them are females. Are we starting any programs to like help out our female students, like mentor? Like we need to figure out how we can help out our female students also.
That's an excellent point, because we do gear more toward males, but that is something definitely to consider and to actually really look into. I'm appreciative that you brought that to my attention, because we do automatically default, to our males.
That's why I asked, because I know we definitely just focus on the boys. I know, like, we never want to forget the males, but definitely from watching most of the videos of fighting, it's mostly been females.
Piggyback that, yeah.
And I know, girls can be a little catty because I have 2 girls and a boy, but definitely we can figure out to start some program for our females, because I think we definitely need to focus on that a little
Absolutely.
bit.
We're post-COVID, and, our whole community has been affected so
Definite.
adversely from it. And again, it's just our natural, think about it, we just naturally go, these boys are just so energetic, and all the videos, a lot of times are females, and we do have to address our female counterparts too.
We do have female adjustment
Mentors,
counselors
yeah.
and guidance counselors that work with students, so they're not by themselves, left out there by themselves.
Yeah, I know. I'm just meaning like a mentor program like he was talking
Yeah,
about for
I
the males,
understand,
but
but
definitely
there
we
is
can
service,
start-
there are services in place
yeah,
for
we can
for
start
female
some like
students.
female ones too, will be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any additional questions for Mr. Vice Chair, please?
Thank you. I mentioned this about 2 years ago. It's looking at the My Turn program that we had when we were in school to try to implement that in, I know it was a program out there, but I think we should do that internally, bringing the My Turn program, the STEP program back. Mentors is greatly needed. This body here has the power when we do the budget to bring that back, so just remember that. Principal McCaskill. I get a lot of calls, and it's from BPS staff, specifically here. It's from bus drivers. It's from people from the community. And I know when you have less staff in the building, it limits what you can do. What are we doing to address the abundance of students that leave at a certain period of time before the school ends? They want to go to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger, or go to Taco Bell and get a taco, and then walk back, because they are still under our care and crossing that street.
Portal to portal.
Are we identifying these students? Are they seniors? Holding them accountable. You got the prom coming up. You catch you outside of school, there's going to be a penalty to that. Graduation's coming up, there's going to be a penalty to that. What do we? No, I had to actually get a pass to go to the prom. I had to sign in at 2:03 to go to the. Well, it wasn't my prom, but I was a sophomore, but I had to get a pass to go to the prom because I was in in-house suspension. But what are we doing to address that? I got a call yesterday. It's not just me. How are we tackling that problem? I know it's work in progress.
And that's exactly, I know Mr. Duarte had issued, a policy in which they were suspending kids for doing it. And again, we got to really look at it. Are we suspending kids? It's skipping. That's what they're doing. They're skipping, and do we suspend kids for skipping? But we have to have a mechanism in place. And so that's something that it is going to be a work in progress. I mean, that's a Band-Aid. The question is, what is our accountability inside the building? And so that's why it will be a work in progress. And then I'm hope to come back with you with a definitive answer at a later date.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Any follow-ups for the principal?
I just want to make a comment, Sergeant Livingston. So both my nieces attended the Youth Academy, and they loved it. I mean, they're...
So last Tuesday, because I was there last Tuesday.
No, they're in college.
Okay, all right.
They're in college, but they attended, both of them. I mean, one of them is a junior in college, and the other one's first year of law school. So they love that program. What is the age for that? Is that, I don't remember them doing that in high school. I thought it was middle school.
Yeah, that's what I said, middle school, yeah.
Middle school.
So it's the middle school age.
Okay, and we
Unless you reclass.
It's okay. And how many students do you currently how many students actually take advantage of that?
I think we have, please don't quote me on
No,
this
no,
one.
it's fine, just
From what
estimate.
I saw, it looked like we had like 28 kids in there.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it was,
not
and it was
bad.
good, a lot of energy.
Yeah, it's a great program to get them familiar with. Plus, it gets them out with our police and gets them familiar with the police, and they build relationships. And I love the dress down, because we need our school police and our regular police to build relationships with our students, and I think that will help us, especially at BHS, when they get familiar.
That's the aim. That's the goal.
Thank you again. Thank you both.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, Principal. Yep, of course.
Because I'd be remiss, again, after we, and thank you, Sergeant Livingston. One of the things from last week, two things. The City of Champions is alive at Brockton High School over the past weekend. at the Massachusetts Instrumental and Choral Conductors Association Festival, in which on Friday, the concert choir as well as the chamber singers both captured the gold medal. And, give a special shout out to Matt Cunningham, who leads that. And then on Saturday, and this was at Foxborough, the wind ensemble as well as the concert band won gold and silver respectively. And so the winning ways of the City of Champions continues. But also last week, more importantly, Livingstone College and HBCU in Salisbury, North Carolina, their president, Dr. Davis, came up and made a decree that students who met a certain criteria would be giving a full ride scholarships to Livingstone, in which 24 received full ride scholarships and 4 partials. And we're looking to really have a fruitful relationship ongoing with Livingstone, as well as any other HBCU or any other post-secondary institution that really wants to partner. So just a couple of tidbits about the school. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have to give a shout out to Attorney Mike Curry, a Brockton resident. Mike had reached out to me about Livingstone. I reached out to the principal and to Dr. Cobbs. Again, Mike's children had graduated from Brockton High. He used to be the president of the Boston NAACP. He's just an unbelievable guy. So Attorney Curry watched a lot of these meetings. I want to thank you, Mike, for introducing Brockton High to Livingstone, and it's been a great, fruitful relationship, and it will continue. So thank you again, Attorney Curry. We will continue now. We're going to go back to agenda item 4, which is the consent agenda, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Are there any matters that the committee membership would like to take out of order, or would we take them collectively at this time? What is the will of the committee?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? There's a second. Before we take the vote, let me just read it. A is the approval of March 19th, 2024 Facilities Usage and Planning Subcommittee meeting minutes. B, approval of March 12th, 2024 Security, Safety, Transportation Subcommittee meeting minutes. C, approval of March 5, 2024 Policy Subcommittee meeting minutes. D, approval of February 27th, 2024 Policy Subcommittee meeting minutes. E is the approval of February 27th, 2024 Special School Committee meeting minutes. F is the approval of 2023-2024 Home Education requests. G is request for authorization to accept proposal and expenditures of funds, FY 2024 DESI Vacation Acceleration Academies grant in the amount of $279,900 even. H is the acceptance of human resources notifications, appointments of non-certified, and then also personnel actions, leaves of absences, resignations, retirements. So we have a motion made by Mrs. Sullivan, properly seconded by the Vice Chair, Mr. Rodriguez. All in favor of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. At this time, raise your hand if you favor it. Raise your hand if you oppose it. It does pass. Consent agenda has been ratified. We'll now go on to Agenda 5, unfinished business. Any unfinished business before us tonight? Not that I'm aware of. Anything, Mr. Vice Chair, that you're aware of? Okay, we will go on to new business, and there is a vote needed for this if the will of the committee chooses so. Discussion and potential vote regarding the FY25 school choice meeting date change from Tuesday, June 4, 2024 at 6:45 p.m. to Tuesday, May 21, 2024, 5:45 p.m. Or is it 6? I'm sorry, 6:45 p.m. at Brockton High School Little Theater here. What is the will of the committee at this time? It's a date change from June to May.
Motion to approve the, sorry, I apologize. Motion to approve the date change for FY 2025 school choice meeting date from Tuesday, June 4th, 2024, 6:45 to Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 6:45 p.m. at BHS Little Theater.
That's the form of motion. Is there a second on the motion?
I just have a question.
A question on the motion.
Dr. Cobbs, is that going to be in plenty of time because school choice has to be voted on by a certain date, and I'm not remembering the date, but just as long as the office knows? Okay. Thank you.
So we have a motion. Is there a second, please?
Second.
I'm going to give that to Ms. Oliver. Mr. Sullivan, she beat you right there. Motion was made by Ms. Azak, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. Raise your hand if you oppose. It does pass. We'll go on to number 8, announcements. And I do want to read an announcement that we're all aware of. We want to thank the city clerk, Tim Cruz. Notice of special joint convention. As city clerk, I hereby call a special joint convention of the city council and the school committee for the city of Brockton to be held in the council chambers, City Hall, 45 School Street, Brockton, Mass. This Thursday, April 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. In accordance with Section 36 of the city charter, the city council and the school committee shall meet in joint convention to fill the vacancy in Ward 1 School Committee to fill the unexpired term. The joint convention between the Brockton City Council and Brockton School Committee for the purpose of filling the above vacancy, which is scheduled to take place again at 6 p.m. this Thursday, April 11th, 2024. Again, it is at Brockton City Hall, 45 School Street, Brockton, Mass., within the city, Brockton City Council chambers upstairs on the second floor. Again, that is this Thursday night, 6 p.m. And again, we want to thank the city clerk and the vice chair and the council president for working on this. Ms. Oliver.
Just making an announcement. There's an important announcement. The Brockton Public Schools Special Education Department cordially invites you to attend a transition resource fair. The Transition Service and Community Resource Thursday, April 11th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Brockton High School inside the Red House cafeteria.
Are there any other? Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any other announcements? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. Actually, Principal McCaskill beat me to it. So another congratulations to Mr. Hogan and his and our students that placed first place at the state theater competition for Charlie's Aunt. And congratulations to Mr. Cunningham. And our chorus and band also won gold at Micah. And we have a lot of our seniors right now that are hearing back from colleges. We would love to fill this audience with all our seniors that are moving forward, whether they're moving forward to college or if they're moving forward to the working world. We'd love to invite them. I always love just watching. We have Ivy Leagues. I mean, focus on the positive at BHS. We have some amazing students. I mean, we just said, look at the gold, what our chorus and our band have done in our drama, our athletics. But I would love for a lot of our seniors that are committing to colleges and those that are just going out in the working world, just come here, fill our audience and tell us where you're going. I know a few years back they had done a quick video and we shared it all over social media. Everyone was wearing their sweatshirts. Are they doing anything up at the high school? Usually they have something up at the stadium with the seniors. We'll have to check with Ms. Tucker and Mr. Brophy, but we'd love to see what they're doing and just give them so much exposure because we're so proud of them. So, but congratulations to those. And then when is the junior prom? Isn't that usually in April? No. When is it? Oh, Friday the 26th. No, I won't be here for that, but we will be going to the senior prom. It's a fun time, but good luck to those that are going to the junior prom as well. But just wanted to give a shout out to our students. We're very proud of everyone, and just keep up the great work.
The other thing is we want to applaud all the middle schools. West Middle School tomorrow night, and I'll be there at 5:30, April 10th, for the induction in the National Junior Honor Society. The boys and girls, the students that have been accepted, are just phenomenal students. And then we have school vacation next week, and then the other middle schools will follow. North and Ashfield, the 24th of April. East is the 25th. Plouffe is May 1. South is May 2nd. Davis is June 6th, and the BVLA is to be determined. So congratulations to everybody that's been selected to join that esteemed organization. Any other announcements at this time? Dr. Cobbs, please.
Just quickly, again, with respect to the Ward 1 vacant seat, President Phyllis Ellis at NAACP is arranged a forum, which will be Wednesday night at 6:30 at South Middle School to meet the candidates. They'll have 2 minutes to speak and ask a question. So if you want to kind of see who's applied, we have 6 candidates that have applied for the position. So it's a good time to just meet. I think one cannot make it, but they have a good, hopefully we'll get a good turnout and you get a chance to see who's running for the office and why. So.
Thank you, Dr. Cobbs. Any other announcements? If not, we'll go on to the last agenda item, which is number 9, executive session. I do need to read the following into the record. There's 3 items. Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. And I do declare it's IBAA-TEA, it's Transportation Custodial School Police. The next matter is Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21-7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant and aid requirements, open meeting law, general law, Chapter 30A, Section 22FG, for the purpose of reviewing, approving, or releasing executive session minutes. And then the last matter is Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21-1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of, or complaint or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. I would, at this time, ask the membership to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Is there a motion?
Motion to go into executive session on the 3 separate items that are listed under the executive session in our agenda, as stated.
Form of a motion was made by Ms. Azak. It was properly seconded by Mrs. Sullivan, so we have a duly ratified motion. I will do a roll call now, vote to go into executive session. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. We are not coming back into open session. Thank you. We'll go into executive session now in the room that we typically utilize. Thank you.